CBS News in kind of this civil war, if you would, because the news division doesn't agree with the parent company Paramount's decision that they want to settle with Donald Trump. I don't know if he's going to take the settlement, but here's the latest out of the Wall Street Journal, who actually has done a really good job reporting on this. They must have good sources over at Paramount, or maybe the lawyers, I don't know, but they have been sort of ahead of the game on this story for quite a while, and now they're saying that Paramount leaders have discussed settling Trump's lawsuit for as much as $20 million. So that would be more than it was settled for over at ABC News. So a little bit more of a premium, but a little bit more going on here, maybe. I mean, you consider what his charge here is and also what he's coming forward with. He's got like a $20 billion suit. Keep in mind the whole company, Paramount, which owns CBS News, is only worth like $8 billion. So he's asking for more than they are worth altogether. I do think that he's going to get something. And this is what is making all the journalists over at CBS News and 60 Minutes so darn mad, that this thing is going to get settled. And that they see as a win for Trump. Whereas Sherry Redstone, who's the majority shareholder in Paramount, is looking at it saying, wait a second, I just want to move on, right? I want to do this deal with Larry Ellis and Skydance, and this thing may be in the way. I need to get FCC approval. I wonder if I'm going to be able to get FCC approval. Don't forget, the FCC is coming out and saying, hey, you got to abide by the new anti-DEI rules. In other words, you can't be discriminating against somebody just because of the color of their skin. Huh. Oh, so that's revolutionary, right? But apparently now it is, because in places like ABC or NBC or CBS, they were actually choosing people based on the color of their skin. I actually had some experience with that when I worked at CBS myself. I was reporting from Katrina from the Astrodome in Texas, where they were sending all the refugees, and everybody was primarily black and I was white, and apparently I got in big trouble one day because I wore a white t-shirt on the air, and they're like, what are you doing wearing a white t-shirt? And then they sent this poor girl in who was an African-American woman who didn't want to be there because she was like 5 or 6 months pregnant and couldn't even go into the Astrodome. But, she was the right skin color, and there was such a movement. And this is like years ago. So I'm just saying, like, the DEI thing and all of these networks, it's a thing. And I remember being so disappointed. I actually wanted to go into the Astrodome and interview everybody and report on this story, but I got sent packing. Go figure, right? So the DEI thing, it is embedded within the network. They're going to have to deal with that. The FCC is demanding it. But then there's also this lurking, lawsuit out there, and Sherry Redstone's like, hey, I want to move on, right? Like, it's forgive me, it's Larry's son who runs Skydance, and they want to do this merger. So she is really eager to secure this thing. I mean, naturally, right? She's a business person, so she doesn't want this, journalism with a capital J to get in the way. Thank you so much, Unc Andy, again, for the generosity. Appreciate. Yeah, we're 720,000 subs. It's amazing, right? Amazing. I was just telling the crowd here today at Job Creators Network, it's incredible what can happen here in an organic environment. No marketing, no anything. We just go here, we do the show every day, and you guys are here, and you respond, and you spread the word. Boy, CBS wishes it could do that, right? Anyway, they're not very authentic. And look, I get it, right? They don't want to, over at 60 Minutes, have to be beholden to Redstone. So I just say, you know what, go do your own thing, guys. If 60 Minutes is that good a show, and it's not, but if it is, or if it were, then it should be able to survive on its own, just like yours truly is surviving on her own right here, right? Independent programming, where you don't have to answer to any bosses. Owens sent out a statement. Bill Owens, who was the top producer there, he had been Pelly's producer for years and years and years. He was running the show. He's well regarded. I'm going to tell you that at CBS News. A lot of reporters really, really like him, and he was seen as sort of the figurehead. 60 Minutes doesn't really have a figurehead. Can you name any of the talent that's on 60 Minutes? I mean, maybe Leslie Stahl, but really, I can't. I mean, all I can think of is the clock. And so this was the guy that was behind the whole thing, and he had to bow out. He said, I can't do this. I have lost my independence, he said, probably because Sherry was like, hey, we're going to pay this, and maybe you could give an apology. And he's like, no, I'm not going to give an apology. Don't forget what this is all about. This is a New York Times piece on it. They're saying, it was an extraordinary declaration. Extraordinary. He's leaving. He doesn't feel like he has his journalist independence anymore. You know what? Fine, leave. Again, it's a free country. Okay, you don't like what they're doing? Good. You know what? I've left networks and I feel a lot better. having left them. Life is a whole lot better on the other side. Thank you, John Swanson. Appreciate the generosity, of course. It is really, really, really good to have such terrific viewers here. But I would just say, look, CBS News is at the point now where they're going to have to settle. Paramount was looking at it saying, we just need to move forward. We have much bigger fish to fry. This little news division is kind of like a gnat, right, that they got to get rid of. And I would say, hey, maybe you should spin out the news division. Do you think of that? Maybe you could do like a spinco, just like MSNBC, and then you can be rid of them altogether. Let them fail or succeed on their own. It all comes down to what happened there in that Kamala Harris interview, which, by the way, believe it or not, is getting nominated for a big award. Oh, yeah. Did you know that? The interview that Donald Trump is suing over, that Paramount is looking at paying him $20 million over because it was rather manipulated, dare I say. I mean, they took all that word salad and somehow, actually they probably do deserve an Emmy for this because they actually were able to make sense of it. Like, that's a skill. Hey, if you can make sense of Kamala, that's a skill. So they took that giant word salad and they turned it into something that was actually understandable. And for that, Donald Trump went back at them and said, you know what, this is kind of election interference. I mean, you wouldn't have done that for me, right? Why are you doing that for her? And just to jog your memory, here it is. She's sitting down with a guy named Bill Whitaker, and they did this interview, and they mistakenly ran a portion of it on Face the Nation on Sunday morning. This is how we know about it. And we're like, okay, that's one version of it, but what we saw on Sunday night on 60 Minutes was entirely different, remember?
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
I mean, maybe they do deserve an award because anybody that can take Kamala Harris's word salad and turn it into something that sounds decent, well, that's like I'm teasing and everything, but the point being that it's now being nominated for an Emmy Award. Of course. They're getting an Emmy nomination there at CBS News for their interview that is now the subject of some real problems for the company and may result in a $20 million hit that's going to go to the president and his presidential library. So I wouldn't be surprised if it wins the thing. So the nomination is one thing, right? They'll nominate like 4 or 5 things in these categories. This is for best interview. I've been nominated a couple of times for investigative stories that I have done. But in this particular instance, I suspect that, and these things can be kind of political because people are looking at it. They're like, ooh, what? And there's a lot more that's going to go into it. So not only did they nominate it, but now somebody's going to get a chance to actually give it the Emmy. And like, I'm sure they're like, oh, this is our giant FU to Donald Trump. This is our giant FU to Sherry Redstone. This is our chance to bring our former executive producer onto the stage to help accept the Emmy. And wouldn't that be so fitting? And the New York Times would love it because they could write a whole big story on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing wins. It shouldn't win. It really shouldn't, other than, as I joke, the ability to turn word salad into something decently eloquent is actually a gift. Like the editor deserves extra brownie points for that one, right?